All right. So now let's talk about the solution. We saw the pain points that we face while creating the onboarding and retention techniques. And now we will look at, so what's the solution? How should we take it? So this is something called that we call it as the onboarding and retention optimizer framework. There are four steps to it. Uh, in nutshell, identify, track, nudge, and iterate. So we will cover these steps one by one. So again, onboarding and retention optimizer framework. First step, identify. Second, track. Third, nudge. Fourth, iterate. And this keeps on repeating till the time you get a rate that you're comfortable with, and then you keep on increasing as and when you add more features and keep on doing the product development as it happens and how the company grows. So it's an unending process in a nutshell, and you would keep on doing it again and again. All right. So with that, but it will always have a compounding effect. So just like the eighth wonder, we have a stock market. Similarly, this would have a compounding effect over time, and you would build on to things that you have already built. So with that, let's get started on the identify part. All right. So what you would see next is like the step by step how we will go and do the identify steps that happens. All right. So first identify step in the onboarding and retention optimizer. So uh, let me uh, let me go ahead, exit from the full screen, and you would see why I do that, because what you would see now is like how uh, how you can leverage this one. All right, so with that, let me get started and identify. The step number one that you do is the goals of the user. So I have created the worksheet that you would need as part of this exercise. That's included in the section called resources for identify stage. All right, you would see all those resources that you can use and download. And with that, the number one steps goals of the user. So the first thing that you should do as part of the exercise is the jobs to be done framework. Uh, you can do it for a product, you can do it for one of the modules, or you can do it for as an ongoing thing, just to get a deeper understanding of any new validation that is coming up. But let's just focus on the product. All right. So you start with identifying the job, the goals of the user. What are they trying to achieve with the jobs to be done framework? What we have done is like I've included the sheet. You can download it and you start filling them, and that will help you give the idea like why is the user using your services. And I'm telling you, we have done so many jobs to be done sessions, and it is not the reason what you think it is. So when you do conduct those interviews, when you do that, you would find like, okay, this was not the reason why you thought that people were using your product. All right. So with that, let's get to the next step. So you have this worksheet. You can go with this worksheet. Number two step, the customer journey map. Miro gives a very good customer journey map workboard, so we are going to use that. You can take this template and follow the steps that are mentioned over here in the registration, onboarding in the first session. That will give you the entire, like, how does the customer journey looks like? Where do you see w- what is the user feeling at that particular time? And to make it much more powerful, you can install Full Story and see how the entire flow looks like. So when they sign up, the onboarding part, and then the first session. So you would see how this thing happens. All right. So that is a step number two. Once you've done that, next you start looking at the metrics to track. So let's open Mixpanel, a guide to product metrics. So I've given this template to you also. This gives a very good, beautiful explanation about like what should be your SaaS product metrics that should look like. If you have done already this exercise, I would still recommend you go through it because the framework that they talk about is like the focus metric, level one metric, and the level two metrics. And you would see how do you come up with those SaaS metrics. And then they have also given some sample SaaS metrics that you can typically take it from here and use it. All right. So these are the SaaS metrics that they have already given, but you should not limit yourself to these things. You should actually think of like what suits for your product better. All right. Uh, Step number three, metrics to track. All right, makes sense to now? Cool. Step number four. Now, when you understand step number one, what is the goals of the user? When you understand how the customer journey looks like, and you understand like what are the metrics that you track, now it is time to put together what all events that you're going to track. So, what all events like, for example, uh, sign up they perform a particular actions. For example, if it is a project management, they create a new project, they create a new workspace, they add a person, they add a they add a task, and they add a subtask. They start a timer, they stop the timer, and they mm, so all these are events. Now these start putting down those events that happens at the onboarding part. What is the user doing it? Go through the entire menu of options that you have in your product and see what all actions that your user can perform and what are all those events and what all things that you want to capture. It can even be like who raised a ticket, even though it may be in a different system, but you can still figure out a way to track them through various means. So maybe doing it at the server side or maybe doing it at the client side and talking to them through it. So this is how you can capture everything. I'm going to recommend Mixpanel as a way to do it and track those events, and you can implement Mixpanel right away. But for now, focused on getting all those events that are important for your product. All right. Once you've done that, once you've done that, identify the triggers, like what is the triggering mechanism for them? When does that event happens? When it does get triggered? And once you've filled this, then we will move on to the track part. All right, so thank you.